This position in the painting is interesting because it's a transition from all of this is done in acrylic, everything so far. So I use my acrylic process as like a underbody for my oil paintings. So I draw them out. I draw it out like you would with a pencil, but I just do it in acrylics. And this isn't, even for me, this is not all like 100% the way I always paint, but it's a really easy way for me to think and map things out. Especially for something where there's like there's kind of a design purpose, or like I'm trying to have some sort of composition and some sort of outcome combined with I have no idea. So it's like, okay, I want this here, how does that look? Let's move it around. So the entire process up till now has been acrylics. And now you're seeing me putting on my first layer of oil paints. So I thought this would be, it's not very dramatic, and you could even place it into the category of boring. But I thought it would be interesting at least to have it logged where I can point somebody to like, okay, here is our transition from acrylics to oils, what it really looks like. And it's just a glaze, you see. I don't want to lose anything yet, especially right now. It's kind of early in the morning for me. And by early in the morning, I mean lunchtime. But I'm not ready to like, I need to start painting and I want to take it easy. So I'm just putting my first layers of oils on to see how it looks. I already know that I want this to be merging from the darkness. So get some thin layers of oil paints onto my subject here. Again, something's going to happen here. The cloud's going to be striking, so I think that's what I tell myself. So meaning I don't want too much dramatic lighting on the cloud. I want it to stand, almost be bright. The cloud is almost acting as a light source, maybe. Here there's going to be some sort of, I don't know, you know, the Baylit from Berserk, or perhaps like a Chinese devil mask or something. I saw a vision there, so I went with it. Put a placeholder there. We have a knife and an apple. And then I really wanted to put some energy around a chair. I haven't painted some furniture in a long time. So that's kind of even where the idea of this painting came from, was I want to have a chair and then something sitting on the chair and then something above the chair. Hey everybody. What's happening? And yeah, so you're just seeing, again, I'll say it again because I probably started early, but this is my first layer of oils on top of my acrylic paint, on top of my acrylic base. And the acrylic base is just really, in a weird way, is just a place for me, the best word that I just said earlier is a placeholder. So I just have subjects that I want in the painting, and I want to get them in, and instead of in pencil or charcoal, I paint them in acrylics. I think I need to see something like pretty clearly in my work, and so when I put something down in acrylic, they stay there so that when I put some glazes on top, I don't lose them quickly. And it gives them some substance too. The acrylic as my underbody is a really fun way to like really jump ahead in the painting process. So I really have something strong and tactile and like something that's really taking its place and holding its position in the underbody. And you can certainly do that with, like, I don't really need to do that with acrylic if it's not a necessity, but I can do it. I use the acrylics in a really aggressive and quick way to get my subjects in the right spot because I keep changing them. With acrylic, I find it very easy to fix something within minutes. Whereas oil, sometimes if you need to really go in a different direction, you might need to wait a day. And acrylics, you don't have that same problem. Acrylics, you don't have to wait. So if this chair leg needed to be moved here, I can do that in a matter of minutes. And a lot of changes with oils, don't get me wrong, you can accomplish that. But I find it to be a little bit of a different, can be a little, it has its different challenges for that, especially as you're further down in the process with your oil paints. A big change really might need some planning and some time where it needs to be, you need dry time. And acrylics, you can avoid that. And for some reason, when I start painting in oil, my brain has a bit of a shift. So when you're painting in oil, it's almost like I have a different mentality. I'm going slower than when I was painting in the acrylic, it was a much quick, it was very rapid, aggressive, almost a different part of my brain. Like, a lot of exploring and aggression just to like get things where, just to map things out. And now with my oils, it's kind of where the fine art comes into play. The best thing that comes to mind is like fine art, like touching the brush, looking like that artist that's portrayed in the movies where you're just, making these marks and stepping back and looking at it. It kind of feels like that with oils. Oils, oils are, again, not always, but a more of a slow, conscientious application. And I'm sure you've seen in other paintings where that's not the case, where I just am still going crazy, but just with oils. But I do like this process because it's all about, I'm still in a world where I'm still living in the world of glazing. And what I mean by glaze, and a good example of glazing right now is, you see I'm putting on layers, but they're not totally covering up what's underneath. I'm just adding to it by either darkening, making it darker, or slightly adjusting things, but with like very thin layers. That's probably the best definition I can give you of what I'm doing with glazing, but they add up and they start to build and work together. So all the other layers that you've previously applied, they start to work together. And I think it brings out a really rich, regal, in some cases, style of painting, where you're working with the shadows. In my case, it doesn't have to be shadow, but I like working in the shadows with these glazes. And it just brings out a really rich finish by the time you start closing in on the ending. all your layers start working together, and I like it. Now, the, the problem I have with this is it's not an aggressive process. It's a you need a lot of planning and a lot of time and layers, and sometimes you really can't rush. Sometimes you can, but in general you can't rush it. You need to know, like, later I'm going to be painting this again later. I'm not going to be finishing this painting in this session. You have to know that. And sometimes I don't want to do that. I'm not interested in painting like that. I'm not interested in taking my time. But the results will then vary. The results will be different. But for the last, I don't know, month, give or take, even though I've been doing these forever, but like for the last month, I've just been, okay, let me see if I can accelerate or enhance my abilities for these paintings where I'm doing a lot of glazing, and see how they see. Let's take them in a new territory that I've never really been before. And that's just by doing a few more, quite a few more this last month of these pieces, where I'm glazing, working from the shadows, taking my time. Let's see how that works when I give this whole process more time and energy to grow and enhance. And there's quite a few things I don't really like about this subject. I don't care about proportions right now, but I also don't know if like it automatically went to a pretty dark kind of figure as normal. That wasn't my intention. That just happens. Kind of wanted it not to be light, but just not heavy. Kind of leaning in a heavy direction. So I don't know if that's gonna stay, or is she going to, I don't see how she can become like a jovial character now. It's kind of too late for that, isn't it? I thought about giving her a mechanical arm. This leg is not proportionate, so I'm going to see how that, I kind of like this. This skirt is weird. This figure obviously needs work. This is going to be an interesting one. I want it to be almost like 3D Pixar cloud. This is going to need some work. This neon light, I don't even know if it'll stay by the end. But I have this is my room. This room is mapped out. Almost the idea like you come into this room and you made a mistake. Like, you know, when you open a door to the wrong hotel room, maybe. You're like, oops, sorry. And I guess I'm next door. Kind of like you surprise yourself and the people when you open the wrong door. Like, good Lord. Remember that room in The Shining where you have that furry doing some weird stuff? Kind of went in the wrong room and saw something you shouldn't. I think that's that. Or the other idea was like this seat. This seat is taken. This seat is taken. It's not available. It's occupied. And it's kind of occupied by like an entity rather than obviously someone just sitting on it. It's occupied by a force, a spirit, an idea, a concept. But it's kind of also maybe inviting, like maybe, even though this chair is occupied, but maybe it's still your seat. Okay, so that's my application. Quite boring, I'm sure, to watch that, but that's the application of the first layer. I've covered everything in glaze. Are you adding clear coat right now? Yeah, it's like a dirty clear coat. It's a dirty clear coat. It's not just a clear coat, it's dirty. It's dirty with blues, browns, and some black. And a lot of liquid. And then it just gets my base on there, because this is my first layer after the entire piece being done in acrylic. So now we have officially moved over to oils, and I thought that was worth beside the being boring, I just thought it would be worth capturing that process, because from here we are now in oil territory. Let's just go here. So any area that I don't want to so this, because it's like the cloud's gonna be pure. I'm imagining right now that the cloud's gonna be, like I said, like a Pixar kind of 3D cartoonish cloud. That's kind of where the vision came from. Let's get some whites in here right away, but you can see they're dirty. It's a dirty, this is even coming out a bit creamy yellow. That's fine. I just want a base. And whites do take a lot longer to dry, the white colors, because I guess the pigments and stuff. So let's get some stuff in here right now, so that later in the day I'll have more to work from. Because again, adding white color, it could end up taking quite a few layers to get it where I want it. I don't know if I want it diffused or really like hard edges or not. We'll kind of play with that as I go along, but let's make sure that it has a really strong base, and then it's a lot easier to work from later. So I'm just putting on that base now. I'm also not wearing my glasses, which is actually a really significant type of strategy. Because I'm not wearing my glasses, the details that I'm seeing are way, how do I describe it? They're not blurry. What I'm seeing right now is not blurry, but it's almost like I get two sets of eyes. That won't be the most clear definition, but because I'm not wearing my glasses right now, I get another set, almost like a different perspective when I put my glasses on. And I don't need my glasses right now because I am not in the detail game. So by not wearing my glasses, it really controls the way that I see the work. And that's in my best interest right now. I don't want to see details. I'm even wondering if what you're seeing on camera right now might be more clear than what I'm seeing. So that's kind of interesting. And I do that on purpose, or at least I'm conscientious of it. Like, oh no, leave your glasses off. You don't need them yet. Because it can almost, I like the different perspectives. I like looking at the painting later with my glasses on and going, oh wow, okay. Almost like a clean slate or a fresh start or a different perspective. And I really value that. That's like a super in the weeds kind of idea, but there you have it. There's your tip for the day. I really like a different perspective. That's why you see the artists stand back and look at their paintings, which is true. You paint something and then you take a break and you walk backwards and see how it looks. You know how they portray it in the movies? This is the same idea. With me not wearing the glasses, it's not like it's a different painting. It's the same painting, but I do see it very, very differently. And I get a lot out of that. I enjoy it. I find it's like super weird. It's kind of, and this only kind of happened in the last few years, where I realized, oh, I need glasses. And I only needed glasses because when I wore some, for some reason, I could actually see really, I couldn't believe the difference. I thought my vision was normal. And I think it used to be. I don't think I always I don't think it's a big revelation like, oh man, you always needed glasses this whole time. No, I think obviously, getting older, I needed glasses. And when I put on a pair, I think it was somebody else's or something, I'm like, oh, it was unbelievable. But that different perspective that not wearing your glasses and then wearing your glasses gives you for in this phase of the painting, I'd say it's like, I highly recommend it. I think it's amazing. You've seen people even turn their paintings upside down or use a mirror. It's the same idea. Just getting a different, finding a way to look at the painting differently, especially even though I've mapped everything out in acrylics, I'm still in the world of like, oh, this could go any direction. Any direction. So having two sets of eyes by putting my glasses on and taking them off, I only benefit at this phase. If I'm working on small details and little things, like I need glasses. But when I'm just like, okay, is this going to be the chair? Is this going to be this figure here? Is this going to be the devil here? I don't know. Like, let me play with some different perspectives. And I think that is like important to like explain. That's the depth of what I need to do to be a painter. Like you need different perspectives. You need to find a way to look at things differently at all costs. And one little thing, like one of the options for me is to not wear my glasses for a while or in certain parts of the piece. Because the difference is really dramatic when I put on my glasses. I'm not bald, I'm not blind as a bat, but man, is the like, do I see things differently when the glasses come on? Sometimes things look better without the glasses, and believe it or not, sometimes things look better with the glasses. That's always an interesting kind of spot to be in. Like sometimes I don't want to see those details, and sometimes the details really help. I don't know how clear this is now, but like using the fishbone technique for ripples is always good. So you have your fishbone, the fishbone is like, looks like this. That's a fishbone. Fishbone, sorry, chicken bone, man. Oh, what's that chicken bone called? Does anyone know? What's that chicken bone? When you break it, wishbone. Okay, so you have your wishbone. I kept saying fishbone. Oh my lord. So your fishbone technique is good for ripples in the dress or in fabrics. I used to, I'm one of those people that's just straights, all these straight lines, like straight up and down line. No, you need the wishbone effect. There's another tip for you. You're welcome. I just made that up, swear to God. The fishbone. It just looks like a wishbone. That's why I was saying fishbone. Hey, you guys can stop watching any time. This is what you get. You get an old man jabbering to himself while he's making confusing, weird paintings. You logged in on me. I didn't log in on you. Don't blame me. Don't blame me. I'm just a weirdo lost in his paintings. Kind of like this idea of there being a mouth there. I'm not sure. This I'll probably have to use a reference for my apple. I'm okay if it's kind of too round, but I don't know where the highlights will be, and I want the wick, the stem rather, to be somewhere. So I'll use like a reference for here. It's hard to find a reference because I've made my own shapes with the legs. And that, I wouldn't say that really worked out. So then I start playing with it like, okay, well, if her legs aren't proportionate, how can I make them at least make sense? Same with the dress, like is her body twisting? I'm not sure. But remember, the way that this whole piece started was with me starting by painting oils on top of an acrylic base. And I've done that, like everything is covered. I think most of it anyway is covered. And because I'm using like really heavy layers of liquid, this is gonna start to like get tacky pretty soon within an hour. And then I can kind of go again, more layers, more layers. I'll put her deeper into the darkness. I'll start forging uh, details in him or her or this creature, or I'm imagining it'll stay. I'm imagining this will stay. I also need a reference for a knife because I want certain things to be quite detailed. So I'm actually throwing on my glasses now. Look at these things. Look at these things. Princess Diana. Yeah, maybe. So cool. Thanks, guys. The Wishbone. Vegan dolls. Wow. Oh, God. Vegan dolls. So let's get some. Don't get too. I hate to say it, don't get too confident with certain parts. This is wrong. Like, the way that I can keep myself from getting too far ahead is to make sure I have a lot of liquid and making it a glaze layer and pulling it around. So I'm not making major commitments yet. I need to like look at a knife, that old vintage, like just standard house bread knife or something. I don't know. I'm not ready to commit because I don't know enough yet to make those commitments. Like, and we're so far from adding, like I threw the little rivets in the handle already, but no, I don't know if the handle's gonna, yeah, I'm just not there. So don't get too carried away. Take your time. And sometimes, depending on where I am in life, painting like this is not what I need to be doing. I do need to be able to just be making confident, bold, aggressive strokes. But for this painting, that is not what it needs. And I think you need to learn how to decipher that. No, this painting right now does not need confident, bold, striking, permanent marks. No, I'm playing around here just within what I've created in the underbody. I like there being a woman figure still. It's not strong enough where I'm like super excited, but there's something here. I like the distorted face. This arm and hand might come out okay. These lopsided, strange, bizarre chest. Her hair could turn into something worthwhile. The layout of the totem, the chair really was kind of what spawned this entire painting. I really mean that. Like I just wanted to kind of paint an old chair. So let's do that. But I'm not joking when I say that. The chair is kind of what started this whole thing. I just saw this old, dusty but really beautiful, like leather bound, I guess antique chair. And I'm like, oh, I want to paint that. And for me, I'm not going to just paint a chair. That's not quite my style. But I did want it to be, but I did want to try. I'm not sure of how much of a shadow this will cast. If it should cast any shadow. This is a dry brush. Nothing on it. my brain is pretty squirrely. So when I'm in the middle of this, I go, where else can I put the brown? Like just randomly. I think that's, those are little things that everyone will have that same kind of brain, but your brain will be different in different ways. Where can I put my, like, and I have to catch myself, like, whoa, 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 calm down. It always wants to do something like extreme. You kind of have to harness it. You still use that. It's all my paintings are based on extreme, radical, like kind of ideas and movements, but you have to harness it. Like you have to have reins. Otherwise, you'll never have visions that start and form. It's about the vision. If everything is abstract and spontaneous, then the vision that you tried to start out with just gets lost. And sometimes that's great. That's what you want. Who would, like, that's a really great process. For me, in this painting, that is not what I'm looking for. I don't want to like just wreck stuff over and over and over again. Can I make the chair work? That's kind of like my goal. Forget everything else. Can I make the chair look really regal and beautiful and have some dramatic lighting and shadows? Does it look proportionate? Does it look right? I mean it when this whole painting was just about this chair. And one of the ways I figured out to do that, just spoiler alert, is just doing layers. It's just about layers. You'll see this like start to go, wow, that looks really cool. Just by putting on thin layers. It's a cheat code. If you have the patience, just put on layers. Just because you put something on here now doesn't mean it's permanent, right? It's all workable and they all build together. You just have to have the patience. That's it. And obviously the time and ability to kind of like do it again, get better at it, do it again. You're never going to be like a great painter in one painting. You might have a great painting, but the real scary challenge, do it again. Do it again. What's your process? How are you, like, are you logging mentally what you're doing, or is it all random? You'll see such great artists that have just such a super tight process. See what they're doing, follow them. See how they're constructing. It's the construction phase that is what makes a great painter, because you have to be able to do it again. Now I am in a whole other world, for better or for worse, where I'll be painting like this process for months on end or weeks. And then tomorrow I'm totally doing something different, a totally different process. But that's just because I can't, my brain is so squirrely. But when I'm in it, when I'm stuck in a specific piece, I'm able to somehow keep it together when I'm dedicating myself to one piece in particular. But that's the difference where you'll see artists that have a really distinctive style for basically their entire career, or the majority of it, and they just really have tightened their skill, their construction process. I get bored, personally. I don't want to paint the same way all the time, but I use all my different kind of things I've learned over the years, decades, to make the current painting that I'm working on come to life. But there's it's almost up for a really good debate. What's better, to have this ultra harnessed consistency throughout the majority of your career, or do you want to explore all the time, but then is it like the jack of all trades, master of none? That's the debate. For me, because I paint so much, I feel like I'm trying to thread that needle, thread that where I can use all these different techniques and ideas and skill sets that I've built up over the years. I started off as an abstract painter. I was just painting abstract. And if you told me to paint something or draw something, yeah, right. I, zero, like zero level ability. I always knew there's something, like, I could put my mind to it, I could get it done, and then I would surprise myself, like, wow, I did that. But I started off as a straight up abstract painter. And then I would put figures in my abstract paintings over time. And some of them look really cool, but very, like, very non-figurative, like very bizarre, kind of like creatures and things. And certain things would look really good, but then other parts would look very abstract. And then with painting that way, you could just get away with it because you're like, well, it's supposed to look like that. It's not supposed to look like anything. It's supposed to look, it's abstract. But that's how I started. And then I would doodle when I was a child and stuff. So I've always had like this kind of leaning towards creating things. And then there was a long time where, like, there was even a lot of sculptures I was doing, not on any level of worth mentioning at all. Like when I say about it, but definitely exploring the world of clay and painting the clay and molds and all that stuff. That was a fun period. But I've always been painting the entire time, even when I'm sculpting and stuff. There's paintings on the go. So over the last kind of 5 years, I really no, I don't really want to make time for anything else. I don't think it's in my best interest now any longer. I really want to just basically be an oil painter. It's kind of a painter, I guess. Because even when the world of digital stuff started coming up, I'm like, oh, should I learn how to paint on an iPad? Like Procreate or whatever? Should I like invest my time and energy into that? I really think there's so many pros or like advantages if I learn how to paint on an iPad. And I just had to make it say I don't like I think there are, and I still even bringing that up makes me like hesitate. But no, I'm just a traditional painter. That's it. And there'll be days that I'd like to tinker on Photoshop and stuff like that. But I don't think this lifetime I will be mastering Procreate. That's cool, but that's something that I had to learn over literally years. That's not something that I'm like, okay, that's just something it's almost, I can see that retrospectively, like looking back, oh yeah, no, I don't really mess around. I haven't been messing around with other media for a long, because I even like, oh, it'd be fun to make movies, and all those things have now slowly faded, so that, because, and what I'm, not faded like in a sad way, faded where like, oh no, I'm just not going to make the time for that. Just won't. Even if I have the opportunity for some reason to do a different kind of medium, it's just not going to happen. It's okay. I just rather be painting. That's what it comes down to. So it's far from sad, but it has faded like other kind of things have faded. Now, again, that'd be another great debate. You'd probably find some brilliant artists that will, oh no, you gotta always mess around with different mediums and different, the Andy Warhols and playing with everything. I've just done that. I've done it. I'm not in that phase anymore where I'm just playing with everything. I like taking a good photo from time to time, but you'll never see me exhibiting photos or even dedicating another page to my photography, which is probably a good idea, but I don't want to I just don't have time to maintain it. So all this is just like me blabbing on as an older creative person. It's just the only way you'll discover all that stuff is just doing it yourself. What are you going to do when you're left with your own devices? Are you going to make movies? Are you going to play on your iPad like Procreate? Are you going to make digital art? Are you going to make like comic books? Like only you will be able to figure that out based on what you're doing. And that you only know that is like when no one's buying it, no one's, even supporting it in a way. Like, what do you end up doing anyway? That's the secret, I think. When there's no real, like, what are you just doing naturally? And I'm not just talking about for a month. When you look back on your career or existence, what have you just been always falling back on? And then that might just help direct you. Like, oh yeah, I just always paint, man. That's what I do. Even when I had some success with some of certain other media, it wasn't enough to hold me there. Money's weird because it can disrupt a lot of your progress or your process, because it's like, oh wow, like I'm really getting pulled in this direction. Obviously you want to look at that. You don't want to disregard that. If you're getting pulled in a direction, there might be a lot of validity there, or you need to pursue that and investigate that. But as I get older, it comes down to just getting older. When you get older, you can figure, like, you're like, okay, even if the money's pulling me there, I just don't want to do that. Now you have to balance that. Like, if I need, like, sure, there's certain times, like, people want me to paint their family members or a dog. It's like, oh my God, okay. But like, if you look at my art, painting your dog, well then it's just gonna be, are you sure? Like, are you serious? Like, have you seen my work? You want me to paint your dog? Now, in their defense, they're just trying to be supportive. They're not trying to evenly, but there's just no connection there, where it's like, they're not putting together the dots when and it's not far from their fault. In fact, you should be praising and kissing their feet, right? Like, sure, fine, yeah, I'll paint your dog. But when I always think of it, I'm like, oh, I know 800 other artists that would would paint your dog just phenomenally. You probably want to go that route. If you want to paint a dog that's missing his head, well, I might be I'm your Huckleberry. You have my attention. I've been rambling too much. I'm not going to talk anymore. And I think this is a good first layer. How long have I been painting? Oh, now you're at an hour. Disgusting. What we sitting on? I don't know, an apple with a little blade there. Let's see. Disgusting. Disgusting. You jerk off to my voice? I jerk off to your voice. Well, don't getting all shy. Oh God. Don't get, you know what the thing is though? Don't give me too much, um, too many compliments on my voice because over the years I've been quite self-conscious of it. When I hear my own voice, like it's like very cringy. But if you start telling me that you're touching yourself to my voice, I'm gonna get I'm gonna get like it's gonna go to my head. And then I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna get a radio show. You guys remember the radio? Making me teary-eyed over here. I'll tell my mom, hey mom, when I do live stream paintings, people touch themselves to my voice. What do you think of that? I'll get her response and tell you how that goes over. I'm proud of you, son. I'm proud of you. You're doing great. Maybe I can do an OnlyFans where I just talk. Come on. You're onto something there. What's your name, by the way? Where'd you go? 91S. I can't read it. 5DTS. 91 5DTS. I've been painting a long time, almost 2 decades. And there's a lot that comes with that. It's been a long, wild ride. And I'm glad there's nothing else. I'm glad that I found it. Especially at the A. I found painting later, right? Like it's not even, I took some art stuff in high school. That's because like you just take art class because it's the easiest. And then art really found me in my later years. And then I really wanted to develop my skill set. Like it was important to like become, like really challenge myself and be really critical and go through all that. I'm not really in that phase anymore. I know when something looks good and when it doesn't. And paintings, like because of my mindset, I always think of paintings like songs or jokes. You know, some songs are great, some songs are whatever. Some paintings are great, some paintings are whatever. But the whole time I'm enjoying creating, you know, creating for the last 20 years. I think like 18, 17 years. Realistically, something like that. Since 2008 was when I really like was kind of beyond, not full time. It wasn't full time then, but it was like my main focus. Everything, even the part-time jobs that I had were to contribute to me just being able to paint. So I say 2008 is when I really, like when the light switch went on and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be a painter. And then I was doing really well with like really big, large abstract. And then I had some life events happen and I felt like I had something to say. I didn't, you know, with abstract art, the audience decides what it is and what it isn't. And with figurative paintings, you are telling what you want the audience to see. You're making that decision for them to some degree. And I just felt like I had a lot to say. And when it was abstract, which I really love, I'm not condemning it at all. I think there's a time and a place for it. But after some life has happened to me, I'm like, oh, I got a lot to say. Even unconsciously. And so then I started, but I wasn't very good at painting figurative stuff. So I spent the last kind of like 10 years trying to refine my abilities with painting figurative work. And now I've kind of hit a place where I'm like pretty confident with stuff, and that's fun, but that takes a long time. But if you think you have that, I think what will determine that is like if you're put into a corner, what are you doing with your time? Under duress and stressful situations and when things are not working, what are you doing with your time? Creatively, that is. So I'm not talking about problem solving. I'm just talking about when everything is falling apart, what are you doing with your time? That should kind of help you determine what you're going to be doing creatively. Maybe you're writing songs, maybe you're writing poetry, you know. But again, that might really help you determine what you should do with your time. Because when things hit the fan, what are you doing with your time? And for me, I just really realized, like, if I'm making no money, I'm not getting any sort of recognition, things are really challenging, what am I still doing anyway? Well, I'm painting. Just want to paint. So that was a pretty interesting indicator of what, again, looking back, it doesn't really happen in real time. It happens when you look back and you say, oh wow, that's what I was doing. I was just painting. And you know, so I know a few friends that are really good at selling, like really good. It's almost artful. It's almost like a performance. You know, I think my mind's pretty wide when it comes to like your abilities to be creative, like creative ways to sell people on new air ducts or you know, cologne. I walk by like the vendors and stuff, and some of them are really good, really creative. And that kind of falls into the Andy Warhol element of art, like he said something to the effect of like business is art or making money is art. And I am in the camp of yes, I believe like there's artful performances that fall under even fine art, believe it or not. It's all debatable, but that's where I land for the most part. But again, the reason I say that is because under duress, under really crappy circumstances, what are you doing? And so some people will pick up the mantle where I gotta sell, I gotta like figure out how to make money and make this work, or like take this where it needs to go. And I think that's very, very creative and artful. I'm just adding a number of colors here now. I want to pull this into more into the abyss with dramatics and this cinematic kind of idea. And part of the fun of these glazes is like, okay, I can pull this deeper and deeper and deeper into the shadows, and then if it's like it's too much or it's not like right, I can pull it back out. And you always have that ability to go back and forth. So right now you can see I'm pulling her deep into the muddy waters. And right now, my reaction to that is good. That's what it needs. Good, good. These shadows will bring them into the muddy waters. And I say muddy because this is just a clear coat, but it's very dirty. It's got more pigment than the other layers so far. I don't really want to hit the cloud at all. I want it to be very distinctive. Almost a different style of painting, maybe. I'm not sure yet, but I'm giving it that chance. So I'm not hitting the cloud with any sort of glaze right now. are heavy applications. I'm gonna work on her figure, and the only way I'm doing that is I'm gonna pull it and just put some shadow in there. I like it. I like it. You just see things in it. It's very abstract application. What do I see? What do I pull in? You can kind of mock your own, map out your own shadows, even if they're not really like physically correct, but you can still play around with that. Get to be the creator. So now you can see this piece has become very muddy, but there's more depth and there's more definition. I'm way further ahead than when I started this piece today, and I'm more attached to it. I won't lie, when I started this painting today, I almost didn't want to. There was zero attachment. I had no feelings about it. Therefore, it was quite hard to start in the morning. But giving it some time and energy against my will or against my better judgment, I have attachment right now. To what exactly, I don't know, but there's something here, and it's worth pursuing. So I'm really actually grateful for that. That's kind of like inspiration. That's me defining the inspiration for the piece, that there's something here and I want to find out what it is. I want to see it through. I also don't think this is going to take 4 years to complete. So meaning I have, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And that makes for quite an enjoyable experience. You can see that I went a little heavier now into my glazing. It's darker wash. What's going to happen to her? Let's see what happens. 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 Remember, I told you earlier in the painting, I don't like this leg. I don't like how it looks. I think it's wrong. But how can I play with it to make it right? So let's come back to that. Same with her figure. Her figure is interesting, but it's bothering me. I'm not touching the cloud. This guy, there's something here. So be gentle. I don't want to take away what I have right now with him. There's nothing here for me in the apple or whatever, a bowling ball, I don't even know. Then these legs are hard to define, so that's okay. We can come in with a small brush at any time and start pulling out really fine details. There we go. Now, what's gonna happen? I don't know. But like I said, I'm more attached to it. I'm excited to come back on this piece later. And same goes to what I earlier was saying about everything. Just these layers, they contribute, they add up, they all play a role. These glazing layers, so like make sure you get some layers, especially I haven't really touched this floor at all yet. Let's get some paint on there. Now you won't see this, probably even in the camera. It's hard to distinguish, but these layers will start to really come together as they compound and you work with them. It's fun. It looks really great. It's a really nice way to paint. And it really enjoyable process of building layers upon layers. So I have to have the patience. And if you go back to the beginning of this video, you'll see where I started from. And I haven't gone that far, but I just mean the difference of using the acrylics and then the oils. Now, what would happen if these layers were dry, I'd probably get to a place where I want to go back on some of this background and pull it out. But I'm not really ready to do that. But I'm just telling you what I'm thinking about already. So yes, this background is pretty muddy, but you really want to diffuse it into the darkness. Like the shadow needs to be, I don't want this striking like spotlight. I want a subtle like dispersion, diffusion of light. And the way to get that is like make it all dark, make it all muddy, and then start pulling back some of the background where you want to highlight it, and you can use that to also define your subjects and objects. So there we go. That's my kind of really the first. This is where the painting really begins. Mapping it out with acrylics, I don't feel like I'm pretty detached and almost unconscious. But when I start applying the oil paints, I feel alive and in control and present. So you see there's little marks that you pull in when you use light layers. You either go with them or you pull them away. I don't think so. So we'll pull that away. Yeah, but leave down there. So the next time I come on this will be, I'll consider it part 2 of this piece. Probably, I don't know if I'll record it, but part 2 will happen later today. And there we have it. I think I want to give her something here, maybe like one of those old school prosthetic limbs or something. But then it gets so dark, I don't know. I'm not sure yet. I think it might be too late. Maybe it's just already scary. And if it's already scary, well then just commit and then make it. And then you just want to probably avoid grotesque, but I mean, it is what it is. That's it. I'm out.